Harold William Summers and Francis Alexander Wetson are charged with conspiring together to defraud by doping a horse called Las Vegas Lad in a steeplechase at Fulchester Races in January. As we join the trial, the jockey is giving evidence.
You are Joseph Timothy Green, known professionally as Joe Green.
Yes, sir.
And where do you live?
186 Calvin Close, Reading.
You are a professional jockey.
That's right, sir. National Hunt jockey.
National Hunt, Mr. Green.
That's right, sir. Steeplechases.
Jumping.
That's right, as opposed to the flat.
I see. Yes, Mr. Harvester.
Hello. Now, Mr. Green, at Fulchester Races on the 10th of January last, were you engaged to ride a horse called Las Vegas Lad?
Yeah, I was, and I shan't forget it in a hurry.
Why is that, Mr. Green?
Well, the beggar ran away with me. He'd been got at.
Oh, really, my lord, I must protest.
Yes, Mrs. Dixon. Mr. Green, the whole purpose of our being here today is to decide whether the horse had been got at, and if so, by whom. You must not jump to conclusions yourself. Simply tell us the facts of the matter, what you actually saw and did.
I'm sorry, my lord. I thought he'd been got at.
Well, that is another matter. Now, please go on, Mr. Harvester.
Mr. Green, you say that the horse ran away with you. Would you, without drawing any conclusions, of course, describe exactly what happened on that day?
Yes. Well, it was the fifth race, the 3 o'clock. That was the last but one race on that day, sir. And Mr. Summers, he comes up to me and asked me if I wanted to ride.
He asked you to ride his horse in the 3 o'clock race?
Yeah, that's right, sir. I'd only had one ride that day, in the second.
Wasn't that rather late for Mr. Summers to approach you? I presume that you hadn't been booked to ride for him that day?
I know I hadn't been booked. Like I said, I'd only had the one ride. No, but the jockey was supposed to ride Las Vegas Lad. He'd had a tumble, you see. He couldn't ride.
Yes, I see. So Mr. Summers turned to you. Had you ridden for him before?
Well, I used to ride for him regular till about the end of October, and then he jocked me.
Jocked you?
He dropped me. He stopped using me.
Why was that? Did he say?
Well, I don't know. I suppose we hadn't been winning anything, and he blamed me.
Yes, I see. Were you surprised, then, when he asked you to ride that afternoon?
Oh, a bit, yeah.
Did you agree immediately?
Well, not straight away, no. I wanted to know what the horse was. When he said it was that one, I thought, well, I knew I'd have no chance, but it was a ride.
You say you knew you had no chance. Why do you say that?
Because I had ridden him before.
For Mr. Summers?
Yeah, I'd ridden him out several times for Mr. Summers. I mean, not in a race, only for Major Hartshorn, who had him before.
Yes, I see. So you knew this horse?
Yeah, he was a dog.
A dog?
That's right, my lord. He was doggy, leery. He didn't like racing. He didn't want to win. You get some horses like that.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Harvester.
So, Mr. Green, you didn't expect to win on Las Vegas Lad, but nevertheless you agreed to ride him. Why was that?
Well, partly for the riding fee, of course. I mean, £16.25 is very welcome any time. But even more because Mr. Summers said that the horse stood a very good chance of winning that day. Now then, of course, I'd get my cut of the prize money. I mean, if I won, I'd get my 10% would be worth another another £50 for that race.
So Mr. Summers said that this horse stood a very good chance, did he?
Yes, he did. He said, forget what you used to think about this horse, Joe. This time he's going to win. And I said, how can you be so sure, Mr. Summers? And he says, never you mind that, Joe. Take my word for it, this is the one.
I see, and that's all that he said?
At that time, so yes, he said, this is the one, and he gave me a wink.
Gave you a wink? So you agreed to ride Las Vegas Lad?
Yeah, I did. More fool me. I said I would. Mr. Summers said I wouldn't regret it. The horse was a racing certainty this time out. And should he put anything on it for me?
Should he put anything on it for you? What did you understand by that?
Yeah, should he put a bet on it for me? I see, jockeys, they're not allowed to bet. Trainers are. I said, no, thank you.
What happened next?
Well, we went through all the normal preparations, getting me declared as jockey and so on, weighing out. Then I went down to the paddock. Now, Sammy Benton, the head lad, had brought the horse down, so I went to have a look at him and get my instructions from Mr. Summers and meet the owner.
The owner being Mr. Wetson?
That's right.
You say the head lad brought the horse round. Isn't that usual?
No, that's very unusual. I was real surprised. No, but they told me that the lad who had been looking after the horse, he'd got the sack, and Sammy Benton, he was looking after him himself.
Yes, I see. Go on, please. What happened next?
Well, I took one look at the horse and I was staggered. Honest, staggered I was.
Why was that?
Well, he was so different from the last time I'd ridden him. He wasn't the same horse.
In what way?
Well, there he was prancing about, very excited, sweating and snorting. His ears kept going back and his eyes were darting about. I said, "Here, what have you been doing to him then?" And Sammy said, "You'll have to ask the governor."
So you spoke to Mr. Summers?
Well, I turned to him and he grinned. And he said, "Just good training, Joe, just good training." And then he winked again and he said, "Are you sorry now you didn't let me put something on for you?" And I said, "No fear." I didn't like the look of him.
And what did he say to that?
Well, he said, "Suit yourself, but you'll be sorry." He said, then I asked him for my instructions. We said, hold him up to the last turn and then start coming, and then keep him away from the mare that was in the race. I thought that was funny.
Well, why was that?
Well, Las Vegas lad, he's a gelding. He's castrated. He shouldn't be bothered by mares in a race.
Quite. So why should a gelding be interested in sex?
Well, I've heard that steroids can turn them on again. Like these lady weightlifters who get hairy chests.
Oh, really, my lord?
Yes, Mrs. Dixon, I quite agree. Mr. Green, you must not tell us things you have heard, no matter how curious, unless you heard them from the accused.
I'm sorry, my lord.
Very well. Please continue, Mr. Harvestry.
Were those the only instructions given to you by Mr. Summers?
Yes, they were. So, I mounted, and I went down to the start. Well, he swallowed the lot and took off. I couldn't make him out. You know, the last time I'd ridden him, I had a job to stop him pulling up and eating the grass. He was so quiet and bored with it all. A real dog, and stubborn with it. Now I could hardly hold one side of him.
He was difficult to control, you mean?
That's right, yeah.
But you managed it.
Well, as far as the start, yeah. And we had a bit of trouble there, too. Well, he whipped round a couple of times and he wouldn't come in a line right. I was surprised the starter didn't get us pulled out, or at least have the horse held, but he didn't. Anyway, we get to the gate, more by luck than by anything else. And by this time, I'm feeling pretty upset, I can tell you. I was calling Mr. Summers a few names and cursing myself for accepting the ride. Anyhow, the gate goes up. We shot out of there like a bullet from a gun. I've never had a start like it, never. It made all the other runners look like they were still back in their boxes.
Yes. Go on, please.
Well, like I said, there we were, out on our own, flat out for the first, which was a 4-foot 9-inch fence. Hold him up, Mr. Summers had said. That was a joke. I had a job staying on, never mind holding him up. Anyhow, we reached the fence, and over he goes like a jet aircraft. Now, I tried to steady him, to catch hold of him, but he wasn't having any. Oh, no, and on we go to the next fence, which was an open ditch.
A moment. Open ditch?
Yeah, it's a type of fence with it's got a ditch in front of it, 6 foot wide. On the ditch, it's got a little bank with a 2-foot high rail in front.
Yes. Yes, I see.
Yeah, well, you see, the horse, it just seemed to go berserk. He rushed straight at it. He never made any attempt to jump. He hit the rail, he plied into the ditch, he pitched forward on his knees, and then he rolled over onto me. Well, that was it. I had a crushed pelvis, some broken ribs, internal injuries, including damaged kidneys, and concussion.
For which you spent some time in hospital.
2 months solid. I'm still having treatment as an outpatient. Yes. I thought my career had finished. It looks like I might be able to ride again, though.
But in fact, you're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, well, that's what the doctors say.
Tell us what happened to Las Vegas lad.
Yeah, well, he weren't so lucky. He broke a foreleg. He had to be put down.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Mr. Green, good morning. You've told us that you thought that Las Vegas lad had been got at. Now, did anyone else share your opinion?
I don't follow you.
Oh, I would have thought it was a simple enough question. Did anyone else think that the horse had been doped?
I don't know. Nobody said anything to me about it, that's for sure.
I see. Afterwards, after the race, what did you do?
I went straight in hospital, didn't I?
Yes, and while you were in hospital, you didn't let the matter rest.
Oh, no, I made a complaint to the jockey club.
The jockey club is the supreme authority in horse racing in Britain, is it not?
That's right, yeah.
And what did the jockey club do?
Well, they made an inquiry.
Right. Now, would you please tell the court what were the findings of the jockey club's inquiry into your allegations?
Well, they found Mr. Summers not guilty.
They found no evidence of doping.
That's right.
Well, tell me, why did you not accept the Jockey Club's findings? Why did you then go to the police and make the same accusations against Mr. Summers and Mr. Wetson?
Because they were blaming it on me. They're saying it was my fault I had caused the accident through bad riding. If I let that stand, I'd be finished, wouldn't I?
Oh, I see. Tell me, when Las Vegas Lad was misbehaving at the start of the race, did you use your whip on him?
I may have done.
Mr. Summers gave you particular instructions about using the whip, hadn't he?
Yeah, well, I can't remember if
Oh,
he
come
did.
on now, Mr. Green. Mr. Summers had specifically told you not to use the whip, hadn't he?
I can't remember.
Well, with a horse that was misbehaving so badly at the start of a race, might you not use your whip, possibly in temper?
Oh, yeah, I might, yeah.
Well, did you?
I can't remember.
Well, you cannot definitely say that you didn't.
Well, no.
Thank you. Do you have any problems with your weight?
Well, every jockey does, especially national hunt racing.
Oh, why especially?
Well, you've got to be a bit bigger and stronger over the sticks on the flat. I mean, that's why most jump jockeys start out bigger.
It calls for strength, does it?
Sometimes, yeah.
How do you get your weight down to an acceptable level for riding?
Well, dieting, of course, a bit of wasting, sauna baths, you know.
On the 10th of January, the day of the race in question, how much had you eaten?
Well, I had me half a grapefruit for breakfast.
Half a grapefruit, yes. No lunch?
Oh, no, none of us have much for lunch. I mean, you don't want to get rushed off to hospital after a fall on a full stomach.
Oh, quite. And had you also been trying to sweat off some weight?
Yeah, I had a couple of hours in the sauna, yeah.
And by the time you came to ride Las Vegas Lad in the 3 o'clock, you'd already taken part in another gruelling race that day, hadn't you?
No, I wouldn't call that gruelling.
Well, hard then.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, so you must have been in a pretty weak condition by this time.
Not particularly, you get used to it.
Oh, Mr. Green, is it not the case that you were in no fit condition to control an overexcited and powerful horse like Las Vegas Lad?
Nobody could have held him.
In your condition?
In any condition.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
You are Jane Barnes, and at present you're living at Natherley Stables, Stafferton.
Yes.
Miss Barnes, did you, until December the 29th of last year, work for Mr. Howard Summers in his training stables?
Yes, I did.
In what capacity?
As a stable lad.
Well, perhaps you'd explain that.
Well, that's what the job's called. Huh, you should see some of them. There's a chap 60-odd working as a lad at the stables where I am now.
Really? Now, Miss Barnes, how long were you with Mr. Summers' stables?
18 months, till he sacked me.
Mr. Summers sacked you?
Yes. I knew too much.
Knew too much?
That's right. Plus the fact that I wouldn't oblige Mr. Wetson.
Oblige?
Go to bed with him.
Oh, my
he
Lord,
wanted
really.
me to.
My Lord, I really cannot see the relevance of all this, and although I've taken no instructions on it, no doubt it's also untrue.
Mr. Harvester.
If you will bear with me for a little while, my lord, I think the relevance to this case will become apparent.
Very well, we will bear with you.
Thank you, my lord. You say you knew too much. Too much about what?
About what they were planning. Mr. Summers and Mr. Wetson, that is. What they were planning to do with Las Vegas Lad.
And what were they planning to do?
Well, they were running him in races where he had no chance and deliberately keeping his form bad so as to lengthen the odds. Then they were going to dope him to win and clean up.
My Lord, this really is quite intolerable. This is all the witness's own conjecture and opinion. It is based on no fact whatsoever.
Miss Barnes, did you actually see them doing these things or hear them discussing their plans?
Well, not in so many words, sir, but it was obvious what they were up to.
Ah, no, that's not good enough for us here, I'm afraid. You must simply tell us what actually happened and leave the jury to draw the conclusions. That is what they are here for.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Good. Members of the jury, I'm sure you understand that you must ignore the remarks just made by this witness. Please go on, Mr. Harvester.
Thank you, my lord. Miss Barnes, were you looking after Las Vegas Lad?
Yes, I was.
Will you tell us what he was like when he first came to Mr. Summers' stables?
Well, it was last September when Mr. Summers bought him.
Mr. Summers bought him.
That's right, he bought him for Mr. Wetson. Well, that's the way it's usually done. The trainer buys the horse for the owners.
I see. So Mr. Summers bought the horse and He put it into your care?
Yeah.
I see.
If I'd have had the choice, I would never have picked that horse.
Oh, why?
Well, he was no good. He got no form over the sticks. He was as stiff as a bundle of pokers, and he was right leery.
You mean he hadn't won any steeplechases and he didn't like racing?
That's right, sir. He got no form, and he was very doggy.
I see, thank you.
Anyway, I didn't have the choice, so I was stuck with him. And a right bastard he turned out to be. A real hard case and awkward to the death.
Were you surprised, then, that Mr. Summers should have bought him?
Yes, I was. Anyway, then Mr. Wetson came down to have a look at him, and I walked him up and down the yard and rode him round while Mr. Summers and Mr. Wetson watched. Then when I got down off the horse and went to take him back to his box, Mr. Wetson said, "Great, Howard, just the job." And Mr. Summers said, "I think he'll do for what we want. He's won nothing for years and won't till we're ready. Till then he's got form like a cart horse." And they both went off into the house laughing.
You're sure about this conversation, are you? I think he'll do for what we want, and he's won nothing for years and won't until we're ready.
Yes, sir, I'm sure.
I see. And how did the horse progress after that?
Terrible. Well, he was terrible at exercise and even worse when he raced.
He did race, did he?
Yeah, 3 times in 3 months at Paddock Park, Catterick and Wetherby. But that was before Fulchester, of course.
And all without success, I see. Did Mr. Summers give the horse any special training or treatment to try to improve its performance?
Well, we had the vet to him after a few weeks, and he said he had arthritis in his back, which was causing him some pain and making him very stiff, too. So he started dosing him up with injections and tablets.
Do you know what these medicines were?
Yes, sir. Bute.
Bute?
Phenyl bute or something is the proper name, but everyone in racing calls it bute. It's banned for racing. Well, it's all right if you're using it as a medicine, but you've got to stop using it a few days before the race, or else it counts as dope.
Was there any change in his condition as a result of this treatment?
Oh, yes, sir. He got bigger, started eating better, too. And he was generally livelier, and he moved easier, as though it had loosened up his stiff back. But it didn't improve his racing. He was still a dog.
But did that situation change at any time?
Yes, sir. Just before I was sacked. Mr. Wetson came down to the stable one day. It was in between the first and second lots.
Lots? Lots of what?
Strings of horses, sir, for the morning gallops. Well, you go out about 7:30 with the first lot. Then when you come back, you see to the horses you've just ridden. Then you go and have some breakfast, and then you take out the second lot.
I see, thank you. Yes, Mr.
Anyway, Las Vegas lad, he was in the second lot, so he was still in his box when I went to get me breakfast. Well, as I was going across the yard, Mr. Wetson drove up and he got out of his car and he went over to Mr. Summers. Well, I didn't see any more then because I went into the kitchen.
I see. And when you came out again from the kitchen after having had your breakfast, what happened then?
Well, as I was going over to Las Vegas lad's box, Mr. Wetson and Mr. Summers were just coming out. And Mr. Summers said, "You finished your breakfast early, Janie?" And I said, "Yeah, because I want to get on." So he said, "OK, but to watch Las Vegas lad because he might be a bit frisky."
He said that, did he? That the horse might be a bit frisky?
Yeah.
Did he say why?
He said he'd given him some new medicine for his arthritis and to ease his joints.
But he didn't say what that medicine was?
No, sir. Well, I thought it was a bit funny, like, with the vet not being there. But it wasn't my place to question the governor, so I said, OK, I'd watch it. And I went into the box. Then Mr. Wetson followed me in and put his arms around me and tried to grope me.
Grope, Miss Bart?
Yes, sir. You know, to touch me. To feel my body, sir.
I see. Grope. Yes.
What happened then?
Well, I pushed him off. But he just grinned. Probably thought I was playing hard to get or something. Anyway, grinned at me and he said, "This fella's going to make us a lot of money, Janie."
This fella?
Yeah, the horse.
Ah.
Then he said, "If you look after him careful like and play your cards right, you won't regret it. I'll make it worth your while, so long as you keep real quiet." So I asked him what he meant about making it worth my while. And he said if I went to his club that Saturday night, he'd show me.
Which club is that?
He owns a gambling club in Farminster, the Big Wheel. It's a dive.
And did you go there?
Yeah, I thought I got nothing to lose, so I went along.
Yes. But before we come to that, I'd just like to go back to the day that he spoke to you in the stables. You've told us that he made an offer to you in the horse's box, but what happened after that?
Well, he gave me a slap on the bottom. It's supposed to be playful like. Then he went out and I got the horse ready for exercise. Well, he was frisky and very worked up. Anyway, went out with the second string, and Mr. Wetson and Mr. Summers went off in the Land Rover to watch.
How did the horse behave?
Well, he was very excited, sort of all worked up and everything. Well, he nearly threw me once, but I managed to stay on. Then when we came to the gallops, well, he went like the wind. I was astonished. I never knew he could move so well. Mr. Summers looked very pleased. Mr. Wetson was grinning all over his face as they drove off.
This improvement in the horse's performance, was it sustained? Did it stay like that?
You gotta be joking. I mean, that's not natural. Wasn't hard to see that the medicine Mr. Summers had given him was something special. Oh, the next day he was as grouchy as a boozer on New Year's morning. Wouldn't do a thing for me. You know, really got a touch of the black dogs. So with that, and what had happened the day before, well, I could really put two and two together.
Did you mention your suspicions to anyone?
Yes, sir. To Mr. Wetson when I went to his club that Saturday night.
Ah, yes. Tell us what happened there.
Well, he was all over me. Gave me a big handful of chips and lots of drinks.
Chips?
Yes, sir. You know, to bet with.
I see, yes.
Bought me lots of drinks, you know. Well, it was obvious that he was trying to get me going. Then he took me up to the flat over his club and tried to seduce me.
What was your reaction to that? Did you resist?
Well, I wasn't having any of it. I'm a good girl. I don't go around hopping into bed with every Tom, Dick and Harry. I told him that I knew what he was up to.
And what was that?
Well, he was just trying to keep me quiet so that I wouldn't let on about what him and Mr. Summers were up to with the horse.
Did you say that to Mr. Wetson?
Yes, sir. He got very angry and said if I dared breathe a word of it to anyone, I'd be very, very sorry. Well, he started to get very nasty after that, so I got the out of there as soon as I could and went back to the stables.
You suggested that he and Mr. Summers were up to something with the horse, and instead of denying it, he said that you'd be sorry if you ever mentioned a word of it.
Yeah?
Did you see Mr. Summers the following day?
Yes, sir. He sent for me. Well, that was a Sunday morning, so there were no gallops. He sent for me in his office and he gave me my cards. And I said, what's that for? And he said, I think you know what that's for. Just get your things together and get out. Mr. Wetson told me about what went on last night. So I did, and that was that.
Are you quite sure of what Mr. Summers said to you?
Positive?
And of what had gone on the night before?
He tried to seduce me and I wasn't having any of it. I told him I knew what him and Mr. Summers were up to with the horse. They tried out some sort of dope on Las Vegas lad and proved it had worked. I knew. I rode him.
The case of the Queen against Summers and Wetson will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of the Queen against Summers and Wetson, Howard Summers and Francis Wetson are charged with conspiracy to defraud. The prosecution allege that they doped a racehorse, Las Vegas Lad, owned by Wetson and trained by Summers, to make it win a steeplechase at Fulchester races. We've heard evidence from the jockey that the horse ran away with him at the start and fell heavily at the second fence, seriously injuring him and breaking its own leg so that it had to be put down. We've also heard from Jane Barnes, who looked after the horse at the training stables. As we begin the second day of the trial, Jane Barnes is about to face cross-examination.
Miss Barnes, you say that you were dismissed from your job at Mr. Summers' racing stables because you voiced your suspicions about Las Vegas Lad having been doped.
That's right, yes.
And you'd like us to believe that Mr. Summers and Mr. Wetson got rid of you because you refused to play along with them in their plan.
It's true.
So you're saying that two intelligent men sent you away even though you had information about them that was pure dynamite?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I mean that if they did have anything to hide, surely they'd be more likely to keep you at the stables where they could keep an eye on you and possibly prevent you from telling anyone outside.
Maybe.
I suggest that Mr. Summers dismissed you for the simple reason that he had nothing to hide. And you were being a nuisance both to him and to Mr. Wetson by making unfounded allegations and demanding payment from them for keeping quiet.
No, that's not right.
No? Are you sure that it was Mr. Wetson who invited you to his club and enticed you up to his private flat and then tried to seduce you? Or did you go to his club on your own initiative to make demands of Mr. Wetson and to try and seduce him?
Certainly not.
Oh, yes, of course, you've told us that you are a good girl and that you don't go around having sex with every Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yeah?
And yet you were known at the stables as Juicy Janie. And on at least 3 separate occasions you were reprimanded by Mr. Summers for your behaviour with the younger male lads. And I believe you were discovered in the men's bedrooms on 2 separate occasions. Now, that is correct, isn't it?
Well, yeah. But I'm a healthy young woman. I like to enjoy myself.
Ah. Well, perhaps you're not quite such a good girl as you'd have us believe, then.
Well, perhaps not.
Well, let's return to the horse. Now, you've told us that Las Vegas lad was doggy. He didn't want to race, and he turned out to be suffering from arthritis in the back, for which he received treatment from the veterinary surgeon.
That's right, yes.
Did he have any other faults when he arrived?
Well, he was awkward, like I said.
Anything else?
Well, we did have trouble with him because he was a rearer. You know, he was always rearing up on his hind legs.
Was he cured of this habit?
Eventually, yes. Mr. Summers had him put in a raw-eyed noseband and a standing martingale.
What's that? Some form of apparatus?
No, sir, no, it's a sort of harness.
I see. Thank you. Yes?
Was there any other peculiarity in Las Vegas lad's behaviour?
Oh, he couldn't bear the whip, if that's what you mean.
Yes, that's what I mean. Now, how did he react to the whip?
Well, if you caught him with it, he'd nearly go mad.
He didn't like being hit?
No.
Did you ever hit him?
No, not really.
Not really? Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I may have given him a good hiding once or twice.
Oh, I see. But now you'd had instructions, hadn't you, both from Mr. Summers and from the head lad regarding beating this horse?
Yeah, they gave orders not to.
Nevertheless, you did beat him, and more than once.
But he was so stubborn and awkward.
On the morning when Mr. Wetson visited the stable, did you use your whip on the horse during the gallops?
Oh, may have just touched him with it.
Indeed you did. And that's when he nearly threw you, isn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't because of that. He was all over the place different.
Well, Miss Barnes, you do seem to have quite a catalogue of misdemeanours. You were caught in men's bedrooms and you beat a horse when you were specifically instructed not to, and then finally you accused your employer of perhaps the most serious crime in racing. And yet you would have us believe that the only reason you were dismissed was because you knew too much.
But it's true. It is.
Mr. Tyndall, you are a veterinary surgeon specialising in equine medicine.
That's correct.
And were you the veterinary surgeon on duty at Fulchester Races on the 10th of January this year?
No, I wasn't.
I'm sorry, I thought that...
I was the veterinary officer on duty.
Ah.
Is there some difference that concerns us?
Oh, yes, my lord. At a race meeting, the two roles are quite different. The veterinary surgeon is appointed by the course. He's there to deal with any sickness or injury to the animals at the meeting. The veterinary officer, on the other hand, is appointed by the jockey club to supervise the racing from a veterinary point of view. That is, he's responsible for looking over the horses before each race and making sure that the rules haven't been contravened, as in tying down of tongues, for example.
Oh, do horses have their tongues tied down?
Oh, yes, my lord, in cases of tongue swallowing.
Really?
They don't actually swallow the tongue, of course. That would be a physical impossibility. But some horses draw the tongue right back into the throat when racing, and this partially blocks the air supply.
Yes, I see. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Harvesty.
On the 10th of January, did you examine the horse called Las Vegas Lad?
I did. I made the usual routine checks before the race in which the animal took part.
Did you discover anything irregular or unusual?
Irregular, no. Unusual, yes. I'd seen this horse before, and I noticed a marked difference in its appearance and manner.
In what way?
Well, it had been a very dull, bored animal before. This time it's very lively. Too lively, I thought. The eyes were very bright, the respiratory action was accelerated. The horse seemed to me to be unnaturally nervous and excited. It was sweating heavily, too.
Did these characteristics suggest anything to you?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I mean, they suggested that the horse might have been given some form of stimulant, a drug to make it go faster.
But could these effects have been brought about unwittingly? By the use of medicines for the treatment of, say, arthritis. Phenylbutazone, for example?
Not phenylbutazone, no. Cortisone, perhaps. That's a corticosteroid, and it can have side effects. But not from the doses that would have been given for the treatment of arthritis. No. I mean, those doses would be far too small to produce the effects that I saw.
Yeah. So if Las Vegas Lad's performance was extraordinary, you'd say that it must have been due to some drug and couldn't have been the indirect result of treatment for arthritis.
That's correct. I suspected at the time, and I'm still of the same opinion, that there was a strong possibility that the horse had been given some form of drug with the express purpose of making it go faster.
What did you do then?
Well, I made a mental note to take samples of blood and saliva after the race to be sent for analysis.
Which you did?
Yes.
With what result?
With negative results, I fear.
Did that surprise you?
Slightly.
Why slightly?
Well, to test for a drug when you don't know what you're looking for is more difficult than finding the proverbial needle in the proverbial haystack. One can only test for known drugs, and there are all sorts of drugs used by human beings for one reason or another, or the amphetamines, for example. Some of those could have the desired effect on a horse if the right dosage could be worked out.
But surely these substances can be detected.
Oh, certainly. But as I said, there are so many of them, and their numbers are increasing daily, it seems, that unless one already knows what one's looking for, the chances of detection are very remote.
Nevertheless, you considered it worth trying in the case of Las Vegas Lad.
Worth trying?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Did you see the race in which Las Vegas Lad took part?
Unfortunately, I didn't.
But to some extent you were involved in the resulting tragedy.
You mean the accident and the horse having to be put down?
Indeed.
That was the responsibility of the veterinary surgeon. I was dealing with the runners for the next race, and I merely had the unpleasant task of taking a blood sample and saliva from the animal before he was destroyed. However, I was given a report, and I did discuss the occurrence with my colleague professionally.
My lord, my learned friend has a copy of this report and has indicated that she doesn't object to its being referred to.
Oh, very well.
And based on that report and your discussion, did you form any opinion?
I did.
What was that opinion?
That the animal showed marked symptoms of being under the influence of a drug.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Tyndall.
Mr. Tyndall, you cannot be certain that the horse was drugged.
Well, no. I mean, it's impossible to be 100% certain.
And the tests carried out, where were they carried out, by the way?
At the Racecourse Security Services Laboratory at Newmarket.
Is that the official forensic laboratory of the Jockey Club?
Yes.
But they found no trace of drugs of any sort?
No, but...
Yes, thank you. That's all I want to know on that point. The forensic laboratory found no trace of drugs of any kind. Now, Mr. Tyndall, I'd like to ask you about your previous experience of this particular horse, Las Vegas Lad. You said, I think, that you'd seen this horse once before.
Yes, about 9 months previously at a race meeting at Fulchester.
Was there any particular reason from this previous occasion why you should remember this horse so clearly?
No, no particular reason.
Had been nothing wrong with the horse?
Only that it was very doggy, rather thin and unimpressive.
Could this earlier doggedness, this lack of enthusiasm for racing, have been because the horse was not fit?
I look upon dogginess as psychological rather than a reflection of fitness.
Ah, yes, but if the horse had been suffering from some complaint, such as arthritis, for instance, say rheumatoid arthritis of the spine, would this not have a discouraging effect on its enthusiasm for jumping and racing?
Oh, of course it could.
Thank you. Yes, tell me, Mr. Tyndall, do you find many horses get excited before a race?
Oh, yes. I mean, many animals are like performers, you know. They love the excitement of the occasion.
And would this cause the eyes to be bright, respiratory rate to be increased, sweating and nervousness?
In some cases, yes.
As in the case of Las Vegas Lad.
I thought the horse was unnaturally nervous. It was too excited.
Well, why didn't you order it to be withdrawn from the race?
I didn't have that power. All I could do was report my suspicions to the stewards.
And did you do so?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I had no proof.
Mr. Hartshorn...
Major.
What? I'm sorry?
Major, sir. Major Hartshorn.
Oh, I do beg your pardon.
Not at all.
Major.
Right?
You are a racehorse trainer?
I am, yes, ever since I left the army 28 years ago.
Did you at one time train a horse called Las Vegas Lad?
Yes, I did, I'm sorry to say.
You're sorry to say.
Well, he was a wrong 'un, a rogue. Had to get rid of him.
Yes, would you care to expand on that statement, Major?
Span? Thought it was clear enough. He was no good, never would be. No guts, don't you know?
No guts?
That's what I said. No spirit for racing. No interest. I had him as a 3-year-old. He won a few races on the flat as a 2-year-old, but then he'd gone doggy. Thought he might make a chaser. Thought he might make a hurdler. But he didn't show much interest. So I had him gelded. Thought that might do him a bit of good, but he didn't.
Is that normal practice?
Well, he was no damn good for breeding anyway. He was taking too much interest in the fillies as an entire.
An entire, Major Hartshorn?
Yes, you know, my lord. A complete horse. Got all his parts, don't you know? Thinking of sex all the time instead of the job he should have been doing. Like some chaps I could mention. So we cut him off. Well, it's quite painless, doesn't do any harm. Horses, that is. Not those chaps I was talking about.
Quite.
So you had him castrated. Did it improve his performance?
Oh, his form, you mean? Yes. No, made not a scrap of difference. A rogue he was and a rogue he stayed. So in the end, I got shot of him. Good riddance.
Yes, Major, would you say that Las Vegas Lad was capable of running away from the rest of the field at the start of a race and leaving the other horses standing?
Ha! Never. Yeah. The only thing that make that animal leap out of the gate was a dirty get spike up his back end.
Yeah, quite. And when you took him to race, how did he behave in the paddock?
Behave like anything. Wasn't a spark of life in him. Except when he was being stubborn and rearing up. The only way you could get anything out of him was give him a damn good hiding, but even then you didn't know what to expect.
So you sold him?
Yes, to young Summers over there. Well, I never promised the horse as much good. He can't blame me for that. Bought him with his eyes wide open.
He knew that this horse had no form and poor prospects.
Oh, yes, he did. Matter of fact, he seemed to be looking for that sort of animal.
Did he indeed? Who made the first approach over this sale? Had you put the horse up for auction, I mean?
No, he came to me after the horse had put up a particularly bad show at Haydock. I didn't waste any time, I can tell you. I spoke to the owner that day, and we did a deal with young Summers the next day.
At what price?
700 guineas.
Was that a fair price?
Well, it was for us. I wouldn't have given a monkey for him. But young Summers seemed to want him pretty bad, so I suppose we were all happy.
Well, Summers seemed to want this poor horse pretty badly, did he? Although it had no prospects.
That's what I said, sir.
Thank you, Major Hartshorn.
Well, is that it?
No. Will you stay for a while yet, Major?
Oh, very well.
Major, just a few simple questions.
Far away.
Thank you. How long was Las Vegas Lad in your care?
Nearly 3 years.
And in all that time, he never won a race?
No, he was a real no-hoper. Thought he might improve with age. They do sometimes, don't you know? Not this fella.
I see. And apart from having him gelded, did you try other ways of helping the horse?
Well, I trained him, if that's what you mean.
Did you try running him in blinkers, for instance?
A rogue's mask, I should think not, ma'am.
Oh, you don't approve of blinkers?
Not particularly.
Well, what about medical treatment? Did the horse require any special treatment from the veterinary surgeon?
No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, one or two questions about your stables, Major. What is your water supply?
Don't see what that's got to do with anything. My water's perfectly pure. Horses drink the same as I do.
From the mains?
Of course from the mains, damn silly question.
How are the horses housed? Are they in separate stalls, totally isolated from each other, or are they in low-sided stalls?
I'm not a damn Yank. I don't believe in communal living. My horses have their own loose boxes and decent privacy.
Mm-hmm. And the doors, do you keep the top of the doors open or closed?
Closed, of course. Must look after security, you know.
Yes, I understand, Major. Well, just one more thing. You mentioned that Las Vegas Lad was a rearer. He had a tendency to rear up on his hind legs.
Yes, damn difficult habit to break.
How do you break it?
Good walloping, ma'am. When a rearer gets up, clout him with your whip.
I see. But it didn't work with Las Vegas Lad, did it?
I don't think anything would work with that brute.
Well, at least you tried.
Well, I did my level best.
Are you a firm believer in discipline?
I am.
You really do believe that a good thrashing will teach a disobedient horse a lesson?
Are you a horsewoman, ma'am?
No, Major, I'm not.
No, I thought not. You sound as if you've got some sentimental notions about an animal's feelings. They're not human, you know.
No, Major, I am aware of that fact.
Sometimes. The only way to get a bit of sense into a horse is to beat it in. Give him a damn good hiding.
Thank you, Major.
Do you wish to re-examine, Mr. Hervesty?
No, thank you, my lord.
Then you may leave the box now, Major.
Thank you, my lord. That concludes the case for the prosecution, my lord.
Mr. Summers, how long have you been a trainer of race horses?
Nearly 9 years.
During that time, have you had many successes?
Well, I haven't won any of the classics, if that's what you mean, but I've had my share of winners, yes.
So you would describe yourself as a reasonably successful and experienced trainer?
Yes, I should.
We've heard that you bought the horse called Las Vegas Lad on behalf of Mr. Francis Wetson. Why did you do that?
I thought the horse had potential as a steeplechaser.
In spite of his poor record?
Well, he was barely 6 years old. A good many steeplechasers don't show their true potential until they come to maturity.
Did you have any specific reason for believing that this horse had potential?
Well, I knew he'd won a few races on the flat as a 2-year-old, and I noticed from the way he moved that he was very stiff. His movement was very crabby, and although he was pretty thin, he was basically well-muscled. I'd seen a horse very like him before. I thought I recognized the symptoms.
Symptoms of what?
Arthritis.
But shouldn't that have put you off buying the horse?
Oh, no, sir, because the complaint can be treated very easily nowadays in horses. And I thought if he really was suffering from arthritis, then maybe he'd never shown what he would be capable of if the complaint was relieved.
But it was still a gamble buying him.
Well, a calculated risk. Mr. Wetson only wanted to spend a limited amount of money, and in the circumstances, I thought Las Vegas Lad offered the best value. I thought that I could bring him up into a big improvement, and I did.
You did? But he lost the first 3 races you entered him for, before the one in which he had his fatal accident.
Well, certainly he did. I never expected him to win them.
Ah, then why did you enter him? Was it, as has been suggested here, to lengthen the odds by convincing everyone that he would never stand the chance of winning a race?
Oh, certainly not. It was to give him experience. Those races were part of a carefully worked-out scheme to bring him on in stages. If the odds kept lengthening, well, that was just a bonus for the time when he'd be ready to win.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. I'm very glad we've cleared up that point. Would you describe the horse's condition when you bought him?
Yes, well, he did have arthritis, which I thought might have a lot to do with his dogginess.
His disinclination to race?
Yes, my lord. It's a very painful condition, and one can hardly expect a horse to have much enthusiasm for doing something that hurts, like jumping and racing.
Yes, I see. Thank you, Mrs. Dixon.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Summers, was there anything else wrong with the horse?
2 things which I thought were connected. He had this tendency to rear, go up on his hind legs trying to unseat his rider, and he had this violent hatred of whips.
You say these 2 things were connected. In what way?
Well, I believe that someone had given him a terrific beating in an attempt to cure him of rearing. It hadn't worked, just given him this hatred of the whip and made him more awkward and stubborn. If anyone took a whip to him, he nearly went mad, almost uncontrollable.
Did you do anything to cure him of this?
Well, there wasn't much I could do about his hatred of the whip. He just happened to be rather sensitive. Horses are rather like people in that respect. Some are thicker skinned than others.
So if you couldn't cure this fear, what did you do?
I issued strict instructions that under no circumstances was anyone ever to use a whip on Las Vegas Lad.
And was this instruction followed?
By everyone except Jane Barnes. Now, I caught her giving him a hiding, and I warned her. Then she used a whip on him again during a training gallop just after Christmas. I had to go to a race meeting that afternoon. I was running a horse for another owner, so I couldn't discipline her at the time. It had to wait until the Sunday morning, by which time she was already issuing threats and things against Frank Wetson.
How did you know that?
Well, he rang me up and told me. Said she'd been to his club, had a few drinks, and tried to blackmail him.
How did Jane Barnes try to blackmail Mr. Wetson?
She said that unless he was good to her, she'd tell everyone that he and I were trying to dope his horse. Well, I couldn't have that sort of thing. And I couldn't allow horses in my care to be ill-treated, so I gave her the boot.
You dismissed her?
That's right. It's a standing rule that anyone caught ill-treating a horse is liable to instant dismissal, and she'd already had a warning.
When you first bought the horse and showed it to Mr. Wetson, Miss Barnes said that you told him, "I think he'll do for what we want. He's won nothing for years, and he won't until we're ready. Is that what you said?
More or less, except that I said, until he's ready. Mr. Wetson wanted a cheap horse that might be developed into a winner. That's what I was referring to.
I see. On the morning of December the 27th, the Friday after Christmas, did Mr. Wetson visit the stables?
Yes, he did. Las Vegas lad had been showing marked improvement, and I wanted Mr. Wetson to see for himself.
Would you describe what happened that morning, please?
Yes. Well, I went out with the first string, as usual, and when I got back, the vet had been and had a look at a couple of the horses, including Las Vegas lad, and he'd given him the injection for arthritis, and then he'd gone. Frank Wetson arrived soon after we got back, and I showed him the horse. Then, as we were leaving the stall, Janie Barnes came along after her breakfast, and I told her that Las Vegas lad had had an injection for his arthritis, and she'd better watch him in case he got a bit frisky. Then I had to go and look at this other horse that was racing that afternoon, and I left Mr. Wetson there for a few minutes. Then Mr. Wetson came with me in the Land Rover to watch the gallops. Well, his horse went very well, except for 1 minute when he was a bit awkward, and Janie Barnes, who was riding him, used her whip on him.
What happened then?
Well, he swerved violently, half stopped, nearly had her off. I wish he had done. Might have taught her a lesson. Anyway, apart from that, we were very pleased with the way the horse was showing and came back to the stables well satisfied.
Good. Mr. Summers, did you or Mr. Wetson, when he was with you, give the horse any food or drug or medicine that morning?
Well, I gave him a peppermint. He's very partial to peppermints.
And apart from that?
Nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
The case of the Queen against Summers and Wetson will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of the Queen against Summers and Wetson, Howard Summers and Francis Wetson are charged with conspiracy to defraud. The prosecution allege that they doped a racehorse belonging to Wetson and trained by Summers to make it win at very long odds at Fulchester races. As the trial enters its third day, Summers continues giving evidence in his own defence.
Mr. Summers, you've said that on the morning of December the 27th, when Miss Barnes claims that you gave the horse something which made it frisky, you did in fact give it nothing more than a peppermint.
That's right.
Did you, or anyone else to your knowledge, give the horse any sort of drug or stimulant at any other time?
Well, the vet was treating it with phenylbutazine and cortisone for its bad back. That's all.
Well, how then do you account for the changes in the animal's personality, which Mr. Tyndall has told us about?
Basically, I put it down to two things: the relief of the arthritis and the success of my training methods.
What makes your methods different?
Well, I don't claim they're unique, but I do put a lot of store by simple things like keeping horses interested. I believe that horses cooped up alone in a box with nothing to look at but the four walls get bored stiff. So I put my own horses in loose boxes where they can see one another and where they can watch the general activity of the stable. I believe that a bored horse will never do much good at all, so I take darn good care to see that mine are not bored.
Well, that sounds very sensible.
Yes, I think so. Otherwise, I follow the general routine of most trainers, work the horses hard. I don't differ from most in that many ways. But I do believe in my own ways with food and water.
What ways are those?
I never give my horses anything to drink apart from rainwater. I think it's more natural than tap water.
And what about food?
Well, you are what you eat, they say. I'm always rather careful with my fatty eaters, and I always make my own concentrated food, so I know exactly what's in it and that it's absolutely fresh.
Do you then regard Las Vegas lad's improvement in form as being due to a combination of these factors?
Yes, I do. Plus the fact that I put him into blinkers. They were a help.
Oh, what effect do blinkers have?
Well, my lord, a horse, unlike a man, has its eyes set more on the side of its head so that it sees from side to side and partly behind it. Our blinkers stop it looking anywhere except straight ahead so it doesn't get put off by other horses or anything.
I see, thank you. Yes, Mrs. Dixon?
So by the use of all these legitimate aids, you were able to turn Las Vegas Lad into a potential winner.
Yes, I believe my judgment of his potential was right. He had been a winner on the flat until he went doggy, and by Fulchester he was ready to come good again.
We've heard evidence that before the race at Fulchester on the 10th of January, Las Vegas Lad was in a very nervous and overexcited state. Why was that?
Oh, well, he was very fit and very eager. The atmosphere got to him, made him excited. Lots of horses like that. They get worked up before a race.
I believe that Joe Green used to ride for you regularly.
Yes, he did until I jocked him. Stopped using him, that is.
Why did you do that?
Well, he kept having these weight problems and he lost his nerve. He just wasn't winning anymore. Well, I expect it hurt his pride, but we're in racing not for charity, but to win, and a losing jockey is no good to anyone. If you want security, you don't really choose to be a jockey, do you?
No, quite. However, you did engage him to ride Las Vegas Lad on this particular occasion. Were there no other jockeys you could have hired?
Well, he knew the horse.
Yes, I see. So, having hired him, what instructions did you give him?
Well, I told him to hold the horse up for the first half of the race, keep him covered up until the last bend, and then to start coming, make his best way home.
Did you warn him to watch out for the mare that was in the race?
Yes, it was the only other runner I was worried about. Nothing else stood much chance against us.
I take it then that you were not worried that Las Vegas Lad would become in any way sexually excited by the mare?
Well, no, of course not. I mean, he was a gelding. How could he be?
Exactly. You've heard Green's account of what happened at the start of the race. Do you agree with what he said?
No, I do not. He lost control of the horse. Now, the horse was a bit awkward at the start. I've already said he was excited and nervous. Green simply lost his temper and used his whip on him. Now, I had warned him. I'd warned him never to do that.
The horse had been treated with phenylbutazone and cortisone, had it not?
Yes, but the last dose was at least 7 days before the race. There was no trace of it in him. The dope test showed that.
Well, had he been given any other stimulant or medicine or tonic of any sort?
No, madam, none whatsoever.
Thank you, Mr. Summers.
Mr. Summers, I've been fascinated by your account of your training methods and your claim that they're better than those of other trainers. I suppose your methods must have brought you a great number of winners.
I never claimed to be better than everyone else.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. But do you have a great number of winners?
Not many, really. I haven't been at it long enough.
9 years, I think you said. But your establishment is financially successful, is it?
Well, not yet. I haven't quite gone bankrupt. That's a fair measure of success these days, with costs rising the way they are.
You may not be bankrupt, but you're heavily in debt, aren't you?
I've my share of unpaid bills, certainly, but then who hasn't?
Do you call £7,350 a normal share of unpaid bills? That's the amount which you owe at present, isn't it?
Yes, it was last week, certainly. But then I am owed quite a fair amount of money by the owners. Almost £4,000, soon month's up.
What about your bank overdraft? How does that stand at this moment?
I do have an overdraft, yes. It's about £3,000 at the moment, and the bank isn't worried.
Oh, that's good. Nevertheless, some of your creditors are worried, aren't they? Your feed merchant, for instance, and your farrier, your transport contractor. They all seem to be pressing you for payment, are they not?
Yes, they are.
And they were in January at the time of this race.
Yes?
And before that?
Well, I think so. I really can't remember exactly.
So you're in urgent need of money and have been for some time.
Oh, yes.
Are you a gambling man?
Well, I bet on horses, certainly. I mean, most trainers do. It's the only way we can make ends meet.
Not very successfully, though, it would seem in your case.
Not recently, no.
What about other forms of gambling? Do you, for example, frequent Mr. Wetson's gambling establishment, the Big Wheel?
I go there sometimes.
Owe him money,
Wetson's
too?
a friend.
Do you owe him money?
A little.
How much is a little?
Oh, 300 or 400.
Has it been more than that on occasion?
Oh, yes.
Like last year, just before you bought Las Vegas Lad for Mr. Wetson, tell us how much you owed him then.
£1,200.
£1,200. Did you pay off that debt?
Yes.
How did you pay it, when you were so short of money?
I won it back from him at blackjack and roulette.
Do you have a record of that transaction?
No.
But you're sure, are you, that you repaid him from your winnings and not in the form of services, such as buying him a racehorse.
No, that was quite separate. I won the money back in the casino.
Did not Mr. Wetson cancel your debt to him in return for your cooperation in buying a horse which he and you could then dope with a drug which he would provide?
Certainly not.
You ask us to believe that a hard-headed casino owner would allow you to carry on gambling at his establishment when you owed him £1,200 and had no way of repaying?
He knew that I'd pay in the end.
Oh, well, that's very, very trusting of him, isn't it? And you, were you really prepared to risk losing even more money in this way?
It wasn't that much. My bet on Las Vegas Lad, for instance, would have cleared it off half a dozen times over.
Oh, would it? How much did you bet on the horse?
£500 at 40 to 1.
500? To have staked such a large amount when you were so heavily in debt, you must have been very sure of winning.
Yes, I was. Very sure.
Thank you, Mr. Summers.
Mr. Wetson, had you ever owned a racehorse before you bought Las Vegas Lad?
No, it was the first time.
Why did you want to own a racehorse?
Well, I've always been a racing fan. I just love the sport. And it had been a dream of mine for a good many years to become an owner.
Did you expect to make money out of your racehorse?
The only people who make money out of owning horses are those that have got a fortune to start with. And they can afford to buy real breeding for the flat. And you start talking about £40,000 stud fees and stallions worth millions. I just wanted to do it for the sport, just for the pleasure.
However, you do expect to make money from betting, don't you?
Well, I run a casino. I make money out of other people betting.
Yes, of course, like Mr. Summers, for instance.
Well, I don't make all that much out of Howard. He usually manages to win back as much as he loses.
Like the £1,200 we've heard so much about.
Exactly.
Were you worried about this particular debt?
Worried about Howard Summers? Never. Anyway, it's not that much, not compared with what some people owe.
Did you regard this debt as giving you any sort of hold over Mr. Summers?
No.
Did you expect him to pay off the debt in any other way than with money?
Of course I didn't.
Was it about that time, however, that you asked him to find you a racehorse?
More or less, I suppose. Well, we'd been talking about it for months on and off. He was keeping his eyes open for an animal I might be able to get cheap that had some potential. Then one day he called me to say that he'd seen a horse that he thought might be a real prospect if it was trained right. So I told him to go ahead. It was Las Vegas Lad. I quite fancied the name.
Did you see the horse before he purchased it?
No, I couldn't get to see it. Anyway, I trusted Howard's judgment. No, the first time I saw it was in Howard's yard.
And were you pleased with what you saw?
Oh, yes, I was very excited. Well, it was like a dream, you know. My own racehorse at last. And Howard told me it reminded him of a horse he'd known before that had turned out to be a good one in the end. So, yes, I was very excited.
How did your horse progress?
Slowly. We entered him in 3 races to give him practice against good opposition. We didn't expect him to come anywhere, but it was good experience for him. Anyway, I liked being an owner. I wanted to see the horse racing.
Very naturally. What about the 4th race?
Well, we'd have won that if the jockey had known his job.
What makes you think you would have won?
Well, it was all coming together at last. I mean, the treatment for his back, good training. He was a changed horse. He was ready for a win. And it was just after Christmas, Howard told me he thought that Vegas would win at Fulchester. He asked me to go and see the horse on the gallop so I'd know for myself.
That was on the 27th of December, was it? The occasion Miss Barnes has told us about.
That's right. Well, he was looking really good. Howard told me the vet had called that morning and given him an injection of cortisone. And he said he was very pleased with the way the horse had responded to the treatment. And then the stable girl came back after breakfast. She knew I was there, so she finished her breakfast early. Now, Howard went off to look at the other mounts for the second lot. And the girl, Jenny Barnes, well, she just stood there looking at me. Showing out, you know.
Showing out, Mr. Wetson?
Yes, sir. Well, she was sticking her chest out and giving me the eye, all the come-on signals, you know.
Making herself sexually inviting.
Oh, yes, you could say that, yes.
I see, thank you. Yes, Mrs. Dixon?
And what was your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, I didn't take it seriously. I mean, she's only a kid, really. But I thought it was a giggle, so I followed her out into the stall. And I put my arm around her, that's all. So then she started to act coy. So I just told her to take good care of my horse, and if he won, I'd make it worth her while. You know, I'd drop her a few quid out of my winnings. But she wasn't to breathe a word about the horse's chances because it would spoil the odds.
Did you invite her to your club?
Oh, I may have done, but I can't swear to it. But I mean, I invite everybody to the club. Anyway, I was more interested in the horse that morning, so I just left her to it.
And did she come to your club?
Yes, she did. She came the next night, Saturday. I bought her a drink and gave her a few chips to play with. I didn't stay with her because it was a busy night. That was about 10:30. She came up to me and said she wanted to talk to me in private. Well, she had a few drinks by then, and I could see it might get embarrassing if she caused a scene, so I took her up to the flat.
And what happened there?
Well, she wanted to go to bed with me. When I refused, she started getting nasty and saying if I didn't look after her and wasn't nice to her, she was going to tell everybody that Howard Summers and I were doping my horse to win at Fulchester. Well, I wasn't having any of that, so I just chucked her out. Then I phoned Howard and I told him what had happened. Well, he said he was going to get rid of her.
Those allegations she threatened to make about the horse being doped, was there any truth in that at all?
Of course there wasn't. I wouldn't have done that to that horse. I was too proud of him. Anyway, doping's a mug's game. Nobody can get away with doping these days. I'm not a fool. I wouldn't even try.
Mr. Wetson, you've told us you make your living by gambling.
I buy other people gambling.
Is your casino successful?
Yes, it
Makes
is.
a lot of money, does it?
Mm-hmm. Fair bit.
It's always been your ambition to own a racehorse.
Yes, it has.
And the image of a successful racehorse owner is one which you'd like to foster, I suppose. It'd be a very good advertisement for your business.
Of course.
Then would it not have been more fitting to buy a better horse? One with some recent form?
Well, it might. It depends on how you look at it. It's not just the cost of buying the horse. I mean, they're damned expensive things to keep.
Yes, quite. And a bad horse eats just as much as a good one. That's the saying, isn't it? It wasn't so much the owning of the horse as the chance to bet at very long odds that was interesting to you, wasn't it?
No, I looked upon that as a bonus, that's all.
Oh, but presumably a very important one for a professional gambler.
I'm not a professional gambler. The bank always wins, didn't you know that?
You mean you only bet on certainties?
If you like, yes.
So when you bet a great deal of money on Las Vegas Lad, you knew that the horse would win?
Well, I knew he had a very good chance.
Yes, but you've told us you only bet on certainties.
Well, I didn't quite mean that.
Really? How much did you bet on him?
£1,000, £1,000.
You must have been very sure of your horse's chances. But I'd like to return to this club of yours for a moment, if I may. Has it ever been raided by the police?
Once or twice, yes.
Once, 3 times?
Could be, yes, 3 times.
On what grounds? Illegal gambling, drinking after hours, that sort of thing?
Drugs.
Drugs? Mm-hmm. You mean illegal drugs, like heroin, marijuana, cocaine, LSD?
Yes, that sort of thing. Look, it had nothing to do with me. You can't keep your eye on everybody all the time. Anyway, I was cleared.
Yes, of course you were, but you've had contact with people involved with drugs.
Well, I suppose I have, yes.
Know something about drugs, if only so that you know what to look out for to protect yourself.
Well, naturally.
Yes, and therefore, if you did want to obtain some sort of drug, you'd know whom to contact.
I suppose I would, yes.
Is it not the truth, Mr. Wetson, that with your knowledge of drugs, and especially knowing that it's quite impossible to detect every modern drug, you conceived this entire plan? You used your relationship with Summers to further this plan. You got him to buy a horse, train it in his stables, and enter it for races, which it couldn't possibly win until you were ready to strike. And then, in collusion with Summers, you administered a drug to the horse which would make it run faster and more strongly than it was naturally capable of, with the intention of cleaning up with the bookmakers to the tune of £40,000. Well, Mr. Wetson?
Well, with respect, I think that's the biggest load of old cobblers I've ever heard outside of a kid's comic.
Mr. Benton, you were in charge of Las Vegas Lad at Fulchester races on the 10th of January. Is that correct?
That's correct, miss, yes.
Would you please describe for us the events leading up to the race in question?
Well, when Joe Green come up to us in the paddock, I thought, hello, you don't look too good. I thought you'd been having trouble with your weight again.
Why did you think that?
Well, he looked awful, like a ghost he was.
How did he react when he saw the horse?
He said, "My God, that's never him, is it? What have you been feeding him on?" Well, I just laughed, and the governor gave us his instructions. So then we saddle the horse up, and Joe goes to mount. The governor, he took one look at the whip in Joe's hand, and he says, "You won't be needing that. Whatever you do, don't use the whip. Remember, this horse hates the whip."
He specifically told him not to use the whip, did he?
Very specific, yes.
What happened next?
Well, we went off down to the start, and the horse was very excited and strung up. I've never seen him so nervous before. And he gets sort of wound up, and he kept whipping round in front of the starting gate, and, well, 2 or 3 times anyway, and not coming into line. Well, I could see the starter getting his rag up, getting annoyed like, and Joe was losing his temper. And then he starts clouting Las Vegas Lad with his whip, the very thing he'd been told not to do. Well, the horse didn't like it, and he reared up and whipped round in front of the starting gate. Well, the starter, he was getting fed up. He wanted to get them off. And as the horse come round, he let the gate up. Well, I reckon if he hadn't, Vegas would have gone straight through it and took the tapes as well. There was no stopping him. Joe Green nearly come off. He was hanging on for dear life. But I still think he'd have been all right. But as they came to the second, he hit him with his whip again. Well, the horse went straight into it. It was his fault. He'd been told not to use the whip. Then when the horse bolted, he couldn't hold him. It would never have happened if Willie Jackson had been riding.
Mr. Benton, we cannot concern ourselves with what might have happened, only with what actually did. Do you understand?
Yes, my lord. I'm sorry, I got a bit carried away. I was very fond of that horse.
Yes, we understand that, but you must control yourself. Good. Yes, Mrs. Dixon?
Mr. Benton, were you with the horse all the time?
Yes, miss. From the time we got up in the morning, I never left him.
And during that time, did you or anyone else give the horse anything other than his normal food or drink?
No, miss, nothing.
Could anyone have done so without your knowing?
No, miss, definitely not.
Thank you, Mr. Benton. Would you stay there, please?
Mr. Benton, you say that you never left the horse for a moment?
That's right, sir. I had a flask and sandwiches for my lunch, and I was with him all the time.
What, every second? Didn't even leave him for 2 minutes?
No. I had a Jimmy Riddle in the box, if that's what you're thinking. On the straw. Well, the horse does it, so why not, eh?
Yes, quite. Tell me, how long have you been employed by Mr. Summers?
9 years, sir, ever since he started.
So you have a great sense of loyalty to him?
I have. He's a fine man and a very good trainer. And there's quite a few who could learn a thing or two from him.
Where were you working immediately before you joined him?
I wasn't working anywhere, sir. I was unemployed.
Oh, really? Why was that?
Well, I make no bones about it, sir. I'd had the sack. I had a bit of a problem with the bottle.
A drink problem?
Yes, that's right, sir. I managed to break the habit, but nobody was prepared to take the chance.
Nobody would give you a job?
No, sir, except Mr. Summers. I shall never forget it. He put me on my feet again.
Yes, that was very good of him. You must feel that you really do owe him an enormous debt of gratitude.
I could never have paid, sir.
Quite. How old are you now?
61, sir.
What would you do for employment if Mr. Summers' stables were closed for any reason at all?
God knows. At my age, who would want me? I suppose I'd go on the dole and wait until I was old enough to start drawing my old age pension.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Benton. I've no further questions.
Members of the jury, the charge in this case is one of conspiracy. That means that the two accused are alleged to have agreed together to defraud the bookmakers with whom they placed their bets. Now, there is no dispute that they did place large bets. What you have to decide is whether they plotted together to win those bets unfairly by cheating. Now, the prosecution alleged that this is exactly what Summers and Wetson did. You have heard evidence which suggests that they may have doped their horse in order to better its performance. But the explanation given by the defense is that Mr. Summers' superior training methods would account for the improvement in the horse's condition. You must weigh the evidence of the prosecution and the defense and make up your minds whether or not the case against the two accused has been proved to your entire satisfaction. Will you now please retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you're all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendants, Howard Summers and Francis Wetson, guilty or not guilty of conspiracy to defraud?
Guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all?
Yes.
Howard Summers and Francis Wetson were sentenced to 2 years' imprisonment. You can join another jury when our cameras return to bring you a leading case in the Crown Court.